This is Amber Petrie with my methodology. The primary quantitative research method I'm using is of experimental design. The aim of this study is to assess the association between ESG disclosure and disagreement at ESG reporting agencies, and to explore the auditing of environmental initiatives to justify the need for geospatial data to become accessible to accounting firms. A set of voluntarily disclosed ESG reports provided by companies will go through external assurance for credibility measures. This means they will be audited by accounting firms with and without accessibility to geospatial data. The methodological triangulation approach that I have chosen is to approach the subjects using these mixed methods with an embedded design of qualitative research to strengthen the quantitative research design. Geospatial data analysts will be mixed in both groups to evaluate and better understand how geospatial data may aid financial processes. This is to further strengthen the argument through deductive reasoning and ensure the data is reliable and validated. The participants involved, therefore, will be randomly assigned to the control or experimental group and will be recruited participants from the following: the Big Four accounting firms who conduct the auditing services, geospatial data analysts to conduct training for the experimental group and to help analyze how environmental initiatives are incorporated in the auditing process with and without geospatial data, followed by the ESG reporting agencies who rate the reports after external assurance obtained by company managers. The control group will not be provided with geospatial data, and the experimental group will be provided with geospatial data. A pre-longitudinal questionnaire does not reveal the identity of participants and may provide both open and close-ended questions. This allows the participants to elaborate on their thoughts while also obtaining specific responses without the influence of fellow participants going into the auditing and rating processes. The main difference between the qualitative designs between the accounting firms and the ESG reporting agencies is due to available time and feasibility. The ESG reporting agencies are not being provided the geospatial data. Therefore, there's less reasoning to evaluate them as closely as the accounting firms. They're being evaluated through an ethnographical immersion of how the manipulation on the dependent variable impacts the independent variable. The ethnographical participant observation allows the study to understand the cultures, challenges, questions raised in interpreting data, any motivations, and the natural settings that occur. How training is picked up on analyzing geospatial data can be done through this immersion. Geospatial data analysts can aid in this analyzation both with and without the use of geospatial data. Additionally, this may help improve alignment of geospatial data to financial needs, also known as spatial finance, which is the integration of the two. The focus group allows the study to obtain answers to the why, the what, and the how questions to gauge how both the control and experimental group engage with the data, to further evaluate any problems and or disagreement with the rating process, any information being disclosed by company managers, and to identify how different reporting standards are being used at varying agencies rating these reports. Additionally, to further aid investors and stakeholders, an understanding to navigate risks and opportunities associated with capital market can be found through this. In addition, both the participant observation and the focus group allow for easier understanding of the challenges faced in interpreting the environmental initiatives within accounting firms and through ESG rating agencies. A post longitudinal questionnaire allows the participants to elaborate on their thoughts while also obtaining specific responses without the influence. This allows the study to see how, without geospatial data, after the study took place, how are accounting firms continuing to audit environmental initiatives on ESG reports, obtaining that external assurance, and how are ESG rating agencies continuing to rate these reports. Further, the questionnaire responses may be compared with historical data or literature review for the final method being the quantitative correlational research design. This would look at questionnaires from ESG rating agencies versus the literature findings, as well as the questionnaire from accounting firms and the geospatial data analysts versus the literature findings. Groups are randomly assorted by participants of the Big Four accounting firms who conduct the auditing services, geospatial data analysts to conduct the training for the experimental group and to also help analyze how it is incorporated in the auditing process, and the ESG reporting agencies who rate the reports after external assurance is obtained. Quasi-experimental is not selected simply so that cause and effect may truly be evaluated without additional biases. Alternatively, to conduct participation observation within companies that provide voluntary ESG disclosure, that's too large of a quantity to accurately be able to observe in that many organizations within a reasonable period. One-on-one interviews was also rejected as a methodology as there's too large of a sample of participants, so kind of going hand in hand with the prior reasoning. This is more beneficial if it's needed to gauge the individual's motivations behind how they rated the data, such as the ESG raters, or audited the data for the accounting firms, and behind the training importance of auditing with or without the geospatial data by the analysts. To explore the auditing of environmental initiatives to justify the need for geospatial data to become accessible to accounting firms. It is essential that there is an understanding of how accounting firms currently analyze environmental initiatives through the auditing process. Geospatial data analysts will work with the accounting firms to evaluate environmental initiatives for both the control and experimental group, with and without the integration of geospatial data. To assess the association between ESG disclosure and ESG disagreement in ESG reports at ESG rating agencies. It is essential to obtain an understanding of how the rating agencies analyze reports. These reports are voluntarily disclosed by companies that have received external assurance through the accounting firms for additional credibility against greenwashing. A questionnaire is administered to both the control and experimental groups to gather data before and after the audit takes place, and later after the reports are rated. Depending on whether the accounting firms obtaining training versus those not obtaining training are being evaluated, or the ESG rating agency depicts the qualitative approach. These studies will be happening simultaneously of one another during the training and audit process and for the rating process. Finally, I performed the correlational method to assess variables within the study, as well as through secondary existing data obtained through literature review. Through this study, an interpretivism epistemological standpoint is taken. The researchers are immersed within the study to interpret data. In addition, the participants of the study are also immersed at many levels within the study environment. This means there's no neutral and objective influences, as this is more subjective with a combination of many realities to be interpreted within the study. The scientific method is taken into consideration for the theoretical perspective of positivism. Association between variables is being analyzed with the correlational parametric statistical test. If required to alter my methodology, my epistemological position would still be retained. One issue that could be foreseen is the available time to conduct this study. By following an ethnographic qualitative design, to properly be immersed within each organization's setting would require ample time, depending on how accessible each organization is. Many factors need to be taken into consideration, which requires strategic planning to properly conduct this study. Therefore, the proposed option for how this could be altered are removing the participant observation with the accounting firms and geospatial data analysts. This could still retain a coherent epistemological position of interpretivism, as the questionnaires include both qualitative and a quantitative approach. The qualitative approach explores more open-ended questions, and if time would not permit, this could be switched for a focus group to also take place during the study. Thank you for your time. This is my methodology.